In 1997, a social wallflower would meet the new girl of Sunnydale High.
Hi, I'm Buffy.
The new girl would encourage her to seize the day, and in doing so, she finds herself in the clutches of a vampire. The new girl would rescue her and her friends and reveal that she is the Slayer, the one girl in all the world chosen to fight evil. With that, this wallflower will walk down a path of social growth, acceptance, self discovery, addiction, rehabilitation, relapse, and self realization. Hi, I'm Midnight, and this is Midnight TV Talk, and today we will be discussing Willow Rosenberg, computer genius and super witch from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, played by Allison Hannigan. But first, if you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications on each time I upload. And Willow Rosenberg was born to Sheila and Ira Rosenberg and raised under a Jewish household. On her first day of kindergarten, she went through a existential crisis after breaking a yellow crayon and believing that all the other kids would hate her for it. But fellow classmate Xander Harris would comfort her through this time, and the two would become best friends. They would relate on being social outcasts and being bullied by Cordelia Chase, and the two would create the We Hate Cordelia Club, which they were the only two members. Throughout the years, Willow would develop a crush on Xander, but he would not reciprocate these feelings. In fact, he would be completely oblivious to her affections.
Come on!
I knew it! I knew it! It's Cordelia, remember? The We Hate Cordelia Club, of which you are the treasurer.
We were just kissing. It doesn't mean that much.
No. It just means that you'd rather be with someone you hate than be with me.
Eventually, she would grow past these feelings and begin dating Daniel Osborne, or simply known as Oz. He turned out to be a werewolf. The two would date and usually be accompanied by Xander and Cordelia, who also began dating. However, Willow and Xander would start an affair behind their partner's back, but would eventually be discovered by the two. This resulted in Cordelia being critically injured. Willow and Oz would reconcile, but not Cordelia with Xander. In the later weeks, Cordelia would meet a new student named Anya, who was actually a vengeance demon. Unaware of Anya's demonhood and abilities, Cordelia expresses her resentment of Xander and his friends and wishes that Buffy never came to Sunnydale, which Anya grants. In this new reality, Buffy never came to Sunnydale and thus never saved Willow and Xander, and the two are now vampires.
Bored now.
And lovers, I think. Eventually, that reality's Giles would reverse Anya's magic, reverting the world back to what it was and depowering Anya. In an attempt to gain her powers back, Anya would trick Willow into performing a spell that inadvertently brought Vampire Willow into this reality. After dealing with all the shenanigans of the day, Willow and gang would send Vampire Willow back to her reality, but not before Willow realized something about herself.
That's me as a vampire? I'm so evil and skanky. And I think I'm kind of gay.
Willow, just remember, a vampire's personality has nothing to do with the person it was.
Well, actually, it's a good point.
The spell that Willow performed with Anya was not Willow's first exposure to magic. Before Buffy arrived to Sunnydale, Willow was considered something of a genius and computer whiz and the go-to person for tutoring help. When Buffy revealed to her and Xander that she was the Slayer, Willow would act as researcher and rarely went on the battlefield. When facing Witch and fellow classmate Amy Madison, who was actually Amy's mother in Amy's body, Willow performed her first spell in order to identify a witch. In Buffy, most beings of higher intelligence can perform magical spells, but only those that practice magic as a discipline are labeled witch, sorcerer, mage, etc. The gang will eventually get Amy back into her own body and banish her mother into parts unknown.
What you looking at?
This cheerleading trophy. It's like its eyes follow you wherever you go.
Willow would continue her exploration into magic with the help of computer science teacher Jenny Calendar, who was a practicing techno-pagan, but unbeknownst to Willow and friends, she was also a member of the Calderash tribe sent to watch over Buffy's boyfriend Angel. Angel is a vampire that was cursed with a soul back in 1898 by members of the Calderash tribe. Members of the tribe would keep tabs on him throughout the decades to ensure that he continued suffering. In 1997, Jenny was sent to Sunnydale in order to ensure Angel's suffering. Jenny joined Buffy and gang as a teacher of the school and ally against evil. During this time, Willow would work closely with Calendar. Sometime later, the elders of the tribe sensed that Angel's suffering lessened, so Calendar's uncle was sent to Sunnydale for a report. Once he discovered that Angel has fallen in love with Buffy, Jenny's uncle urged that Angel should continue suffering and that he never experienced a true moment of happiness. Unfortunately, Angel would consummate his relationship with Buffy, resulting in the curse being broken and Angel losing his soul. Angel, now going as Angelus, would wreak havoc on Buffy and gang, eventually getting to and taking out Calendar. Willow would take over Calendar's class and stumble upon her notes on how to reinsole Angel. Librarian Rupert Giles, who is also Slayer Buffy's watcher and mentor, stated that he could not perform the ritual of restoration because it surpassed his knowledge of the dark arts. However, Willow insisted that she perform the spell because of her time studying under Calendar. Giles agreed, but warned Willow that channeling such potent magic through her could open a door that she can't close. Still, Willow performed the spell and performed it successfully. Willow would continue to practice her magic, and her next big spell would be one of vengeance. Willow's boyfriend Oz would cross paths with another woman who happened to be a werewolf herself. Oz would cheat on Willow and break her heart. After this, Oz would leave town. Upset by Oz's betrayal and abandonment, Willow would perform a spell that allowed anything she said to come true. This caught the attention of the Hoffren, the leader of the Vengeance Demons and Anya's old boss. He would offer Willow a chance to become a Vengeance Demon, but she would decline. After this, Willow would meet a young woman named Tara who was also a witch. The two would bond over witchcraft and begin dating. Tara would join the gang and help Willow perform various spells. When facing against the extremely powerful demonoid Adam, Willow, Xander, and Giles performed an enjoining spell that allowed them to become one with Buffy. Not only did this make her extremely powerful, it also permanently connected the four together, with Willow acting as Buffy's spirit. The success of performing all these powerful spells encouraged Willow to be more zealous in witchcraft, which concerned Tara, and she would express this to Willow, saying that it scared her how powerful she was becoming.
You've been practicing witchcraft way long. Oh, but you're way beyond me there. And just a few... I mean, it frightens me how powerful you're getting. That's a weird word.
Tara's poor choice of words would cause the two to separate in order to cool down, but during this moment of isolation, the depowered hell god, Glory, caught up to Tara, believing that she was the key. The key is a mass of energy that can be used to break down barriers between dimensions. Glory wanted to use it to return to her home dimension, but an order of monks turned the key into a living person who happened to be Buffy's sister Dawn. When Glory discovered that Tara was not the key, she brain drained her. This greatly enraged Willow, prompting her to tap into dark magics. With this power boost, Willow went to face Glory. During this face-off, Willow showed several new abilities, including levitation, advanced telekinesis, conjuring, force field generation, and electrokinesis. At the beginning of the battle, Willow got the upper hand, but her new power quickly drained her. Before Glory delivered her final blow, Buffy turned up and saved Willow. While the two fought, Glory mentioned that the only reason that Buffy was winning at the moment was because of Willow.
That witch really slowed me down.
To get an idea of how powerful Glory was, she and Buffy faced off a handful of times and Buffy never got the upper hand. She beat an army of knights in mere seconds, survived a building collapsing on her, survived being hit by a semi-tractor, punched a hole in Willow's mystical barrier, and survived falling several stories from the sky. During the time the team dealt with Glory, cybernetic genius Warren Mears created a Buffy robot for Vampire Spike in order for him to spar against, amongst other things. When it was discovered that there were two Buffys, the team captured the Buffy bot, and Willow began to study it. When Glory captured Dawn after discovering that she was the key, Buffy went into a catatonic state. Willow was able to tap into Buffy's mind and bring her back into reality. With Buffy back, the team prepared for battle against Glory, with Willow being considered the big gun.
Well, you're my big gun.
I'm your... No, I was never a gun.
You're the strongest person here. Will, you're the only person that's ever hurt Glory.
The assault on Glory began with Willow reversing Glory's brain drain on Tara, returning Tara back to her normal mental state and greatly weakening Glory. Then Buffy began to fight Glory, but Glory got the upper hand and kicked off Buffy's head, revealing that she is the Buffy bot, recommissioned by Willow in order to act more like Buffy in battle. And even though the real Buffy was finally able to beat Glory, the ritual to open the barriers between dimensions began. This forced Buffy to sacrifice herself in order to close the portal. In the following months, Willow would take lead of the team, coordinating nightly patrols via telepathy and programming the Buffy bot to pretend to be Buffy.
That'll put marzipan in your pie plate, bingo.
What's with the daughter is, Red?
Yeah, she says that pie thing every time she takes a vamp now.
She will also prepare for her biggest spell ever. Believing that Buffy was stuck in a hell dimension, Willow, Xander, Anya, and Tara plan to resurrect Buffy, leaving Giles and ally Spike out the loop. During the time that the four were performing the spell, the Buffy bot was confronted by a demon biker gang and was severely damaged by them. And following her programming, she tracked down Willow for repairs while she was performing the resurrection spell. Even though the spell didn't go as planned, it still worked, but Buffy had to claw herself out of her own grave. Once everyone reunited, Buffy realized that her friends resurrected her, believing that she was in a hell dimension, so to console them, she states that she was going to be fine. After being informed of Buffy's return, Giles spoke with Willow on how she did it. Though Willow was proud of her huge accomplishment, Giles berated her for her actions.
Stopped you. The magics you channeled are more ferocious and primal than anything you can hope to understand, and you are lucky to be alive, you rank, arrogant amateur.
And she would quickly rebuttal with this.
The magics I used are very powerful. I'm very powerful, and maybe it's not such a good idea for you to piss me off.
Basking in her magical accomplishments, Willow would begin using magic more often, which concerned Tara.
Willow, you are using too much magic.
Not wanting to fight with her lover anymore, Willow cast a memory spell on Tara, causing her to forget the argument they had. However, Dawn would jog Tara's memory and she would discover that Willow used a spell on her. Sometimes later, when a demon named Sweets invaded Sunnydale, causing all its residents to break out in song and dance in order to express their inner feelings, Buffy revealed that she was not actually in hell but in heaven. Feeling guilty about what occurred, Willow would suggest using a memory spell to make Buffy forget that she was in heaven. But Tara objects.
I know a spell that will make her forget she was ever in heaven.
God, what is wrong with you?
After Tara confronted Willow about using magic on her, Willow vowed to not use magic for 1 week. But she did anyway, casting a spell to make Tara and Buffy forget again. However, it didn't go as planned and the entire gang forgot who they were. Once the spell was reversed, Willow and Tara broke up. Feeling lonely with Tara gone, Willow began talking to the pet rat Amy. Back in high school, after Amy regained control of her body from her mother, she still practiced magic, but she was less skilled than her mom, leading her to cast spells incorrectly. While she was facing off against an angry mob of parents, Amy would cast a spell for her to escape, but it turned her into a rat. Unable to reverse the spell, Willow kept Amy as a pet. She was able to reverse Amy's condition for a brief moment, but she quickly reverted back to the rat form.
I mean, first she's a perfectly normal girl. Then poof, she's a rat.
When Willow broke up with Tara and found solace in Rat Amy, she quickly realized that she now had the skills to revert Amy back into a human, which she does. Even though Amy was not as skilled as Willow in witchcraft, she did have more knowledge about the magical world. She would convince Willow to use magic more freely and lead her to a magical dealer named Rat, who supplied individuals with powerful but addictive magics. Willow would visit Rat on more than one occasion, but after a magical binge resulted in Willow hurting Dawn, Willow severed ties with Amy and Willow began her rehabilitation journey.
Amy, if you really are my friend, you better stay away from me. And if you really aren't, you better stay away from me.
Once Tara began seeing that Willow was actually trying and succeeding in her magical rehab, the two would reconcile. However, Warren, who along with his partners Andrew and Jonathan have been pestering Buffy and her friends for some time now, turns up at the Summers home with a metal slingshot. He hits Buffy and critically injures her and accidentally hits Tara, causing Tara to lose her life. However, Willow would attempt to resurrect her, but the god Osiris forbid her request, stating that Tara passed of natural causes. Enraged, Willow would absorb dark magic and exact revenge on Warren. Buffy, Xander, and Anya, who has since become a vengeance demon again, tries to stop her, but they are too late.
Bored now.
Anya stated that Willow rage went past vengeance and is more of a bloodlust. And while chasing down Jonathan and Andrew referred to her as Dark Willow. Dark Willow began to lose her power while cornering Jonathan, Andrew, Buffy, and Xander. So this prompted her to find Rack and absorb his magic. Dawn, knowing what has happened to Tara and Willow, tries to talk her down, but Willow simply berates her and claims that she is able to turn her back into her original energy form. Before she attempts to, Buffy finds them and she tries to talk Willow down, but Willow berates her.
You're trying to sell me on the world? The one where you lie to your friends when you're not trying to kill them? You screw a vampire just to feel? And insane asylums are the comfy alternative?
While saying this, Willow teleports her, Buffy, and Dawn where Jonathan and Andrew were. She tries to use her energy blast to end them, but a barrier protects them, a barrier being cast by Anya. Realizing that she can't use magic on Jonathan and Andrew, she uses magic on herself to give her super strength. This is when Buffy steps in.
I don't want to hurt you. I said I didn't want to. Didn't say I wouldn't.
The two would battle it out, but Willow discovered that Anya is casting the protection spell and takes her out, leaving Buffy vulnerable. Willow, basking in her own gloriousness, states that no one in the world can stop her now. This is when she is blasted by no one other than Rupert Giles.
I'd like to test that theory.
The relationship between Giles and Willow began back in high school as a simple student-teacher dynamic, mostly because Willow was one of the few students to frequent the library. Willow has shown possibly having a crush on Giles.
Faith, this is Giles.
I've seen them. If I'd have known they came that young and cute, I would have requested a transfer.
Raise your hand if ill.
Well,
I sort of met someone.
I knew.
Only lonely.
Now I remember why I used to have such a crush on him.
But nothing developed past this. When Buffy came on the scene, Willow started helping her and Giles in their fight against evil. The relationship between Willow and Giles transformed to a mentor-mentee dynamic, especially when she began practicing magic. Their relationship mirrored Giles and Buffy's relationship, but in a lesser extent. He would give her advice on common issues young people would deal with.
You two don't quarrel much, do you?
Never. Until today.
Oh, well, it's over.
Over? How can it be over? I just found her.
The quarrel is over.
But when Willow began practicing magic, he would show minor concern without expressing directly to her those concerns.
That was an incredibly dangerous spell for an adept at your level.
Once Willow's magic abuse came to a head, Giles had to step in. Willow acknowledged his parental position amongst the gang.
Uh-oh. Daddy's home. I'm in wicked trouble now.
Giles would bind Willow, but Willow would use a mind control Anya to free herself, even though vengeance demons are immune to mind control.
I know what you're trying to do. And I hate to burst your bubble, but that mind control mojo doesn't work on vengeance demons. So why don't you just...
Stop talking and listen.
Okay.
The two will battle it out until Willow gets the upper hand and absorbs his magic. This in turn caused Willow to emotionally connect with everyone in the world. Feeling everyone's sorrow all at once prompted Willow to end the world, but Xander was able to talk her down off the cliff.
The first day of kindergarten, you cried because you broke the yellow crayon. And you're too afraid to tell anyone.
For the following weeks, Giles would take Willow to England in order to rehabilitate her. The consequences of Willow's magic abuse made her permanently connected to the magics of the world. She was so entwined with the magic that she could cast spells by pure willpower, as she did when returning to Sunnydale. The spell made her invisible to her friends because she was nervous about her friends having a new view of her. Eventually this would be reversed and Willow would be more cautious about her magic use, rarely using it. At this point, whenever Willow used her magic, she would begin to tap into the dark side of it, but would never go off the deep end.
For God's sake, shut your whimpering mouth.
When the first evil began attacking the Slayer line, all potential Slayers that were left began to come to Sunnydale. This included potential Kennedy. Kennedy would begin expressing affection towards Willow, but Willow would be afraid to engage.
Sleeping arrangements?
Okay.
You, better not hog the covers.
Eventually, the two would share a kiss, resulting in Willow changing into Warren. Their search for answers would lead them to the presumably reformed witch, Amy Madison. Amy would eventually let it slip that she cast the spell on Willow that changed her into Warren, expressing jealousy over Willow's expertise of magic and the fact that Willow did so much evil, but was easily forgiven by her friends. Willow would realize that she changed into Warren because during the moment she and Kennedy kissed, she forgot about Tara. But Kennedy would help her change back, and Willow would realize that she could move on without forgetting. Shortly after, Willow would be asked to come to Los Angeles by Winifred Burkle, who is a member of Angel Investigations, in order to re-ensoul Angel, who lost his soul again. While there, she would battle against the extremely powerful but depowered power-to-be entity, later known as Jasmine, that was possessing Cordelia at the time. Jasmine, as Cordelia, expresses that Willow would not be a problem for her if she wasn't pregnant.
If only this were a few weeks later.
Willow would come out on top and re-ensoul Angel. Then she would return to Sunnydale with Slayer Faith tagging along. The battle against the first would become more deadly with the introduction of Caleb. Eventually, Buffy would battle Caleb one-on-one, leading her to find and retrieve a magical weapon he had hidden away, a scythe. Buffy would speak with a woman simply known as the Last Guardian. She would tell her that the scythe was meant only to be used by the Slayer. After defeating Caleb, Buffy would realize that she could use the weapon to empower all potentials to full Slayer status, and she would ask Willow to tap into the magic of the scythe. Willow would do this successfully and resemble a look similar to the Last Guardian. This would help the Slayers defeat the first, and Willow stated that she could feel all potential Slayers beginning to activate. In the comics, after the collapse of Sunnydale, Willow would help Buffy and gang establish the Slayer organization, a pseudo-replacement for the Watchers Council that was destroyed by the first. She would face off against many enemies, including Amy and her boyfriend, the newly resurrected Warren Mears. Eventually, the gang would face off against the villain known as Twilight that was working with Wolfram and Hart, a trio of demons that defeated Angel Investigations and started their own apocalypse. The conflict against Twilight would result in the Seed of Wonder, the source of all magic in the world, to be destroyed. Willow, who was one of the most powerful magic users in the world, was now a regular human. Eventually, magic would be restored, but the rules around magic were not. She, as well as members of the Scooby Gang, would begin creating the new laws of magic. Eventually, Willow would fight in the battle against Wolfram and Hart, known as the Reckoning. This battle would result in all demons being exiled from the Earth dimension and causing the Slayer line to become dormant. So here are some fun facts. In the unaired pilot, Willow was portrayed by Riff Reagan. According to Sarah Michelle Gellar, when recasting the role of Willow, Joss Whedon considered actress Melody Linsky for the role, but Alyson Hannigan would eventually be chosen. Willow is one of the earliest LGBTQ characters to appear on network television. Joss Whedon fought tooth and nail with executives at the WB network to show affection between Willow and girlfriend Tara, eventually agreeing to have the two kiss as long as it was not sexual in nature. And Willow appears in all 144 aired episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And that is it for this video. A lot has happened in the Buffy reboot world. The reboot will be named Buffy the Vampire Slayer New Sunnydale. Discourse has occurred over a red dress, and the pilot for the reboot has since been completed and production is awaiting a full season order from Hulu. However, despite some recent images of Sarah Michelle Gellar and Alyson Hannigan together, there is no official word on whether or not the character of Willow would be in the sequel series. There has been mentions of potential big bads, but nothing confirmed. I was listening to Critical Overlord and he mentioned some possible storylines for the upcoming series. There was one I really liked, which was remnants of the Watchers Council resent Buffy and the Scoobies for changing the rules around the Slayer line, and they tried to make a new Slayer line by using the spell the Shadow Men used on Sania on a young man. I think this will be really cool to see and add an element of the traditional versus modern motif we have been seeing lately in media. He also discusses the idea of an evil teacher having control over vampires in some capacity. I also like the idea of a slave pirate being introduced. For those that don't know, the Vampire Sunday, who was in the episode The Freshman, was rumored to be a mini big bad for Buffy as a former Slayer turned vampire. A slave pirate would be introduced in the comics after Willow performed the empowering spell, and I can see this being a villain working behind the scenes in the new series. But who knows what will happen. And if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dive videos, and I will catch you guys later in the next one.